Hello, my dogs! This is Leaf here, and today I will be reading Chapter 4 of Broken Piece of Paradise. As always, the content warnings are graphic depictions of violence and major character death, and it's an original combat unit character. Chapter 4. The next day, Tansy asked San, one of her fellow teachers, to look after her kids in the playroom as well as his own, and followed Lucky as it strolled towards the bridge. I'm not sure this is a good idea.
It might create interpersonal conflict.
Lucky acknowledged.
I have limited ability to predict that, but it's necessary.
The bridge door was predictably locked. We need to just ask, Tansy said. Look, they gave me a phone, didn't they?
I haven't figured out how to use it.
Lucky admitted ruefully and punched in the secret bridge code that definitely wasn't supposed to know. The door opened. They strode in. Tansy trailed behind them, mouthing sorry to Solomon, who was staring at them, shocked. Looky, Captain Latimer said, you're not supposed to be on the bridge. You were informed of this.
I know.
Lucky said.
But you need my help. You don't have a chance of destroying or taking the Conquistador without me.
Captain Latimer stared at it. Is that what you think we want to do? Lucky seemed surprised by his surprise.
It's necessary. By my calculations, the Conquistador will be in weapons range in 45 minutes. You must open negotiations with them before then, but you have no way to eliminate the threat.
You expect us to open fire during negotiations?
Of course not. You have no kinetic or radiative weapons. I want to supply killware.
Captain Latimer considered Lucky narrowly. What would killware do?
There are multiple varieties. It is unlikely that I could transmit anything sophisticated enough to react or to attack augmented humans. In essence, we want to disable a significant ship's system. The purpose is to eliminate the pursuit. The one that I coded this morning involves adjusting the oxygen levels on board to lower than 5%. This is not my preferred choice, but my preferred choice requires wide bandwidth. And if your communication systems can't handle this option either, I will have to improvise, which is why I gave myself significant lead time.
That would kill everyone on board, Tansy protested. She hadn't seen Lucky like this before. She'd seen it upset about potential carnage. She thought it was upset. Had it just not wanted to talk about it? But it seemed to have gone past that and out the other side into a very casual calm. It wasn't tapping on things, though, or moving much. For all that she had found it apparently dead in the closet, Lucky was always in motion. Now it wasn't.
200 human crew.
Lucky said, unconcerned.
And probably 100 human soldiers. I'll admit it involves excess loss, because the only ones we actually need to disemploy are the bridge crew and the backup bridge crew. Weapon Sys cannot begin firing without an activation order from the highest-ranking surviving bridge crew person. However, it is efficient. This letterboard is your computer interface?
It moved towards the keyboard. Tansy watched the world disemploy rattle around the bridge and kneecap just about everyone. Step away from the station, Captain Latimer said. Lucky stopped. An expression crossed its face, an unpleasant smile of an expression, angry and evil, and then it blinked and looked slightly amazed and smiled.
No.
The word came out almost caressed, like a treasure. It stepped up to the console and ran its hand along the edge as it considered the keyboard like a person meeting an alien species. Step away from that station.
No, I need it.
Captain Latimer's jaw clenched, as if he were struggling with the decision, and then he took out his sidearm. I wasn't asking. Lucky turned around.
That,
It said,
is gorgeous. That's organic material on the grip. Individual and unique. Every cell of that was once a part of a fascinating flora somewhere. Probably not from acquired asset 96. It could be from the planet that the ship first launched from. History that you can touch. And someone took the time to make designs on the barrel. These projectiles are self-fueled, which is actually better for a barrel of that size. Magnetic acceleration requires at least a little length. They're much too small, though. At least they can't cause pressure loss.
It moved side to side a bit, as if to see the gun better.
It's a 45,
Captain Latimer said evenly.
It will kill you if I fire, which I don't want to do. Step away from the computer station.
Lucky looked at him for a long moment. Then he stepped away, but not very far.
Tell me your plan, then. If it seems satisfactory, I have no reason to interfere.
I don't think we'll be doing that, no. What was your position at Barristranza? Ship operations? Weapons officer? You know a lot about both.
Actually, no. I just picked that up.
Jim Harkin scoffed incredulously. You don't just pick up that.
I listen a lot more than people think I do. Even.
Its face tightened. It looked upset for the first time in this conversation.
Between missions.
Between missions? Tansy prompted, desperate for context. Lucky turned to her. There was a long pause. Lucky said in a low voice,
I'll tell you what I can. Later. If you really want to know. We have to solve this first.
Back to Captain Latimer.
Would you settle for non-lethal interference with the ship's systems? Not killware, but a sort of botherware.
You may not touch the computers, no. Please leave the bridge.
He made a gesture with his gun. Tansy was very, very sure it was copied from an ancient literary detective show that he used to watch, because Tansy remembered that when they had sleepovers, he always made a case for watching Precinct House, and gotten almost always shouted down. It seemed to communicate intent, though, and Lucky tapped the door open and left the bridge. That, Harkin said, is a fucking commando, who we are letting around the kids.
We're going to have trouble preventing that,
Latimer said.
Unless we can figure out how it knows our locking codes. If we can imprison it, treat it as an enemy, we instantly make it an enemy, and we have to be very, very sure we can keep it contained. And I'm not convinced.
It's on our side, Tansy felt compelled to point out. It's lying, Harkin said flatly. Tansy shook her head. If it slipped on board to sabotage us, it would have snuck back out, and we would have blown up on launch. We kind of risked that anyways.
They don't want to kill the kids,
Captain Latimer said, glancing towards the rear of the ship as if to see the pursuers.
They want them as indentures. The goal of this is to stop the ship, not blow it up.
He paused.
That actually may give us an edge in negotiation. Tansy, go find it. Figure out what it's doing. Do not leave it. If it approaches any ship systems, call immediately.
Call and do what? Tansy thought as she left the bridge. They had a skeleton crew so that they could get on the children on. They didn't have security people. In fact, Tansy wasn't sure there had been anyone in the colony as a whole who could stand up to Lucky. It wasn't even just the size, it was the utter grace it moved with, even when being silly and doing handstands for the amusement of the children. Could someone treat the children with such gentleness and obvious enjoyment in their presence and still be planning to sell them into slavery? Well, maybe they could. The colonists had had a problem once, and he had been sweet and playful and happy, a charming man. He had been Tansy's senior teacher in her vocation, teaching her everything she knew about classroom management and child development, and he had tormented his own daughter Inez, and Inez had been 5. He was in cold sleep now. It wasn't quite killing him. Probably future technology could revive him with no trouble, not even the usual risk of neural damage. The colony didn't have the resources to keep him isolated from children and potential victims for the rest of his life, which was the only viable solution. Tansy had gone to see his cryo coffin and gone away expressionless, not sure how she was supposed to feel about any of it. Satisfaction? Righteous wrath? Relief? Tansy didn't think that Lucky was remotely the same as Mr. Beauregard. For one thing, it wasn't as smooth. There were obvious bumps where it didn't have an explanation for something, or not one it could give. Paradoxically, that made Tansy more comfortable than an easy, pushy, friendly person with an answer to everything. She felt that Lucky was on her side. Could she rely on her own judgment? She was thinking about it as she pressed the knock button next to the door. That is the end of part 1 of chapter 14 of this podfic. It's too long and I don't have the audio clips to do all of it at once, sorry. I want to thank my dear friend McMarcus McMiller for doing all the Lucky lines, as I think they sound so great and he has the best voice. The only thing he wanted in exchange for his beautiful voice was to show the bloopers, so I have a few of them instead of endnotes today.
It's necessary. By my calculations, there are multiple varieties. It is unlikely that I could transmit anything sophisticated enough to react or attack. There goes one. There are multiple varieties. It is unlikely that I could transmit anything sophisticated enough to react or attack. Okay, no, I was pausing. 200 human crew, and probably 100 human soldiers. I admit it involves excess loss, because the only ones we actually need to disemploy are the bridge crew and the backup bridge crew. Weapons sys cannot begin firing without an activation order from the highest-ranking survivor. My water heater, alright. That is gorgeous. That organic material on the grip, individual and unique. Every cell of that was once a part of fascinating flora somewhere. There. I want to go follow the... That is gorgeous. It's... that. I'll tell you what I can. Later. If you really want to know, we have to solve this... No, that's not the tone.